Welcome to 10th Standard Social Science. In this video, let us see 3 and 4 most questions from history. Mention the reasons of the Battle of Plassey. Misuse of dastaks, mending of the fort without permission, Black Room tragedy. What were the outcomes of the Battle of Plassey? Battle of Plassey brought out the immorality, lack of unity among the Indians, and the greed of Indian businessmen. Mir Jafar became the Nawab of Bengal. The company gained exclusive rights to trade in Bengal. Mir Jafar had to pay rupees 17 crores and 70 lakhs to Sirajuddaula as war indemnity for the attack of Fort William. What were the outcomes of the Battle of Buxar? Shah Alam II accorded the Diwani rights over Bengal to the British. Shah Alam II gave away all the rights over Bengal to the British for an annual fee of rupees 26 lakhs. The Nawab of Oudh had to pay a fine of rupees 50 lakhs for waging a war against the company. With the death of Mir Jafar, the company paid pension to his son and took over the entire administration of Bengal. Explain the concept of dual government. Robert Clive brought in dual government. As per this, the British had the right to collect land taxes. The Nawab had power over administrative issues like justice and others. What were the conditions under Subsidiary Alliance? The Indian king had to keep the British army in his kingdom. The state concerned had to bear the expenses of the army and the wages of soldiers and also had to give certain revenue lands as well. The king had to have a British resident in his court. The king could not appoint any other European without the permission of the British. In order to enter into any agreement or pact with any Indian state, the permission of the Governor General was mandatory. In return for all these services, the company would offer protection to the state from any internal or external aggression. What were the effects of British land taxes? A new class of zamindars who exploited the farmers was created. The farmers who were subjected to the exploitation of the zamindars became landless slowly. Land became a commodity. Loans could be raised by mortgaging the lands. Many zamindars also had to mortgage their lands in order to pay the land taxes. The agriculture sector became commercialized and had to grow raw materials needed by industries back in England. The money lenders became strong. Make a list of the effects of modern education in India. Indians could develop modernity, secularism, democratic attitudes, and rationality. Along with the nationalistic ideals, impetus was received for the local literature and languages. Periodicals started emerging. New social and religious reformation movements emerged. The thoughts of thinkers like J.S. Mill, Rousseau, and Montesquieu brought fresh thinking in the mind of educated youth of India. The freedom struggles that were taking place across the globe influenced the Indians also. Indians could understand and appreciate their rich tradition. What were the restrictions imposed in Regulating Act? Under Regulating Act, the Bengal presidency gained control over the other two presidencies. The governor of Bengal became the governor general of all the three presidencies. The governor general was authorized to direct, exercise control, and to supervise over the other two presidencies. The Bombay and Madras presidencies could not declare war on anyone or enter into peace agreements without prior approval of the Governor General of Bengal Presidency and the Board of Directors of the company. According to this act, Supreme Court of Judicature was established in Calcutta. How does the India Government Act of 1935 become the base of Indian Constitution? A federal system of Indian principalities, British governed regions and Dominion states was formed. Reserve Bank of India was established. A diarchy was established at the center. Diarchy was cancelled at the regional level and autonomy was granted. The federal court was established. What are the important features of Government of India Act of 1919? Act formulated bicameral legislative body, lower house and upper house were formed. Diarchy was followed at regional governments. An High Commissioner was appointed for India. Promised to improve local self-government. Provisional budget was separated from central budget. Separate electoral college was extended for Muslims, Sikhs, Anglo-Indians and Europeans. What were the reforms introduced by the British in education? Warren Hastings facilitated the expansion of the modern education in India. Warren Hastings started Calcutta Madrasa. Jonathan Duncan, a British citizen, started Sanskrit College in Benares. Charles Grant pressed for the universalization of British education in India. The expansion of the British education in India received special support after the appointment of Lord William Bentinck. Macaulay was appointed as the chairperson of the Committee on Education. The report on education submitted by him became the base of modern education in India. The Governor General Lord Dalhousie established universities in Calcutta, Bombay and Madras as per the suggestions of Charles Wood's Commission. After this, the education started becoming universalized in India. What are the important features of Indian Councils Act of 1909 or Minto Marley Reformation Act? The total number of central legislature members was increased to 60 from 16. The number of regional council members was also increased. Representation of the regional council was allowed through election for the first time. In order to provide separate representation for Muslims, separate electoral college was created. What are the important features of the Charter Act of 1813? This act licensed the East India Company to stay for another 20 years in India. A new era of license and authorization started. The Board of Directors was vested with the powers to appoint the Governor General and the Commander-in-Chief. The churches were allowed to enter India officially. The Christian missionaries were directed to enrich the knowledge of Indians and also enhance the moral and spiritual life of Indians. What are the important features of the Charter Act of 1833? The Governor General of Bengal was named as the Governor General of India. The Governor General was vested with powers to direct, control and supervising all trades in India. The central government of Bengal had the final right to decide on issues like war, peace and diplomatic relationship with the princely states of India. The Governor General was mandated to put his difference of opinion with the executive committee members in writing whenever he differed with the majority opinion. The act bade any discrimination based on religion, birth and skin color. The Governor General was mandated to appoint a law professional as member to his executive committee, all British companies were allowed to have trade relationship in India. What were the conditions of Srirangapatanam Treaty? The British were successful in inserting unfavorable conditions in order to weaken Tipu Sultan. Tipu was forced to part with half of his kingdom. He was forced to pay 3 crore rupees as war damage free. He had to pledge 2 of his children as a guarantee against the payment. He was also forced to release the prisoners of war. The British withdrew the combined army from Srirangapatanam. Explain the method adopted by Sangolli Rayanna to fight against the British. He fought for the independence of Kittur and felt it was his duty to liberate his motherland. He fought against the British and was imprisoned along with Channamma. He developed a sense of nationalism and went on organizing an army. He organizing secret meetings at sensitive places. He aimed at looting the treasury and taluk offices of the British. He had an army of 500 men. He became furious with the villagers who were assisting the British army. The British devised a cunning strategy to capture Rayanna. They encouraged Desais who were opposing Rani Channamma. An Amaldar named Krishnaraya joined hand with them. Thus Rayanna was cunningly captured and brought down to Dharwad. He was declared as an offender and was hanged to death. What are the reasons for 4th Anglo-Mysore War? Tipu Sultan took the defeat in the 3rd Anglo-Mysore War personally. He claimed his right over Malabar regions under the British occupation, but the British refused this argument. Tipu's attempt to form an alliance of local rulers and his closeness with the French angered Lord Wellesley further. Tipu sent an ambassador to France to seek the alliance of French. This enraged the British. They thought that an alliance between France and Tipu Sultan would threaten the existence of British in India. Another treaty containing inhuman and impractical conditions was forced upon Tipu Sultan. His refusal started the 4th Anglo-Mysore War. Explain the rebellion of Bedas of Halagali. The British banned the usage of weapons. The Bedas, who always kept guns as part of customs, and they were good hunters. They rebelled against the British when they were asked to surrender their firearms. The Bedas of Manturu, Bodani, Alagundi and neighboring villages joined Halagali Bedas. The British army entered Halagali village to suppress the rebellion. They suppressed the Bedas in an inhuman way. All the rebels were hanged to death. What are the important aspects of Brahmo Samaj? Brahmo Samaj advocated monotheism. It opposed meaningless rituals. Every person should live with dignity and no law or ritual should violate this provision. It intended to assure equality to women by opposing polygamy. It advocated for a share in property to honor dignity of life to widow. It also opposed child marriage. It declared that one can take good things from anywhere. It also declared that Upanishads and Vedas also advocated these principles. What are the aims of Arya Samaj? All Hindus should believe in one formless God. No one is a Shudra or Brahmin by birth, and caste-based system was rejected. Encouragement to intercaste marriages, rejection of polygamy and child marriage. Men and women are equal. One should study Vedas and other ancient sacred texts and preach them. What were the reformation activities of Annie Besant? She advocated that Indian culture is far more superior to the Western culture, which is based on materialism. She also did a comparative study of Hinduism and Buddhism. Translating Bhagavad Gita to English is one of the major achievements of her. She was called as Shweta Saraswati. She wanted education for all. She opened schools. She started Central Hindu College at Banaras. She started two periodicals, New India and Commonweal, to initiate discussion on current problems and social issues. She started Home Rule League and initiated Home Rule movement in Madras region. She was active in the freedom struggle movement and became the first woman president of Indian National Congress. How did the economic policies result in the mutiny of 1857? Due to the development of industrialization in England, the Indian handicrafts and industries diminished. England, apart from being industrialized country, became a workshop of industries. The artisans of India became unemployed. The weavers became the first victims, as wool and cloth making industry suffered a lot. The Indian handicrafts became financially pathetic. The British levied high customs on Indian goods entering the market of England. Due to zamindari system, the farmers were exploited by zamindars. Land tax collection rights awarded to talukdars were withdrawn. By forming Inam commissions, Inam lands were also withdrawn. As a result, the farmers had to undergo lot of economic hardships and felt insulted. What were the reasons for the failure of 1857 revolt? It did not cover every part of India. It was mainly concentrated on the issues of the rights of kings and queens rather than liberation of the country. The unity among the British and the disunity among the Indian soldiers resulted in its failure. The mutiny lacked direction and leadership. The soldiers also lacked discipline and organizing skills. The Indian soldiers lacked military strategies, planning capabilities, and soldiering skills. The freedom fighters lacked definite aim. Many of the Indian kings extended their loyalties to the British and did not support the freedom fighters. The plundering and other crimes committed by the Sipais made them to lose the faith of common people. What were the political reasons for the First War of Indian Independence? Due to the doctrine of lapse implemented by the British, many Indian kings had to lose their kingdoms. As a result of this policy, Satara, Jaipur, Jhansi, Udaipur, many other states become part of the British Empire. Dalhousie abolished the kingship of Tanjavur and Carnatic Nawabs. The British dethroned Mughal kings and many other kings. As a result, many soldiers depended on these kings became unemployed. What were the administrative reasons for First War of Indian Independence? The British brought in many civil and criminal laws into effect, but in the implementation there were a lot of partiality. Laws applied to Indians in a different manner. English became the language of the court. The English judges have judgments in favor of the British. People did not like the new laws. Explain the results of 1857 mutiny. The governance of East India Company came to an end and the governance of British government started. The administration of India was handed over to Secretary of Indian Affairs of the British Parliament. The Queen of Britain passed a declaration. The agreements entered by the company with the local kings were accepted. Non-pursuance of regional expansion. Providing a stable government for Indians. Equality before the law. Non-interference of the government in religious issues of Indians and practicing religious tolerance. The British realized that unless and until they command the love and affection of Indians, ruling India would be a difficult proposition. Explain the role of moderates in Indian freedom movement. Traditionally, the first 20 years of the Indian National Congress is called as the age of moderates. W.C. Banerjee, M.G. Ranade, Surendranath Banerjee, Dadabhai Nauroji, Gopalakrishna Gokhale were the major moderate leaders. Moderates had faith in the rule of British and judiciary. They used to table their demands with the framework of the constitution through prayers and requests. They tried to bring in political awareness among the people. They organized public meetings, discussed various burning issues and submitted memorandums to the government. Demands of the moderates: cutting down of military expenditure, development of Indian industries, providing good education, programs for poverty alleviation. Explain the role of Balagangadhar Tilak in the Indian independence movement. He declared, "Swaraj is my birthright and I shall have it." Attaining complete freedom was his aim. He tried to organize the common people of India. He attempted to organize people by employing religious celebrations too. He used Ganesha, Shivaji and Durga celebration to organize people against the British. He published Kesari in Marathi and Maratha in English languages. He encouraged common people to protest against the British. The radical writings of Tilak galvanized the common people. The British arrested him due to these developments. He wrote a book, Geeta Rasa, in the prison. List out the programs of non-cooperation movement. Boycotting schools, colleges and courts. Boycotting elections to regional legislative bodies held according to 1919 Act. Returning all the honors and medals given by the British. Nominated members to the local bodies resigning from their membership. Boycotting all the government functions. Boycotting all foreign goods. Explain the major developments that took place during non-cooperation movement. Many senior lawyers like Deshabandhu Chittaranjan Das, Motilal Nehru, Rajendra Prasad left their legal practice. Students boycotted schools and colleges. Congress boycotted the elections for regional bodies which were held under the 1919 Act by not naming any candidates for the elections. Many national institutions like Kashi Vidyapita, Gujarat Vidyapita, Bihar Vidyapita, Zamia, Millia, Islamia, Rashtriya Vidyalaya were established. Rabindranath Tagore returned his knighthood. Common people and women donated liberally to the Congress. Shops selling foreign goods were boycotted and foreign clothes were burnt. The visit of Prince of Wales in 1921 was opposed. Explain the achievements of Subhas Chandra Bose in independence movement. He became popular as Netaji. He toured many cities like Vienna, Berlin, Rome, Istanbul and other cities. He and Jawaharlal Nehru founded the Congress Socialist Party within the Indian National Congress. He became the president of Haripur Convention of Indian National Congress with the support of Gandhiji. He criticized Gandhiji's failure to seek foreign help. He quit Congress and founded Forward Bloc. He opposed the British war preparation and also the participation of British India in the war. He escaped from the house arrest and reached Germany. The dictator of Germany agreed to extend all the help to Bose. Bose organized prisoners of war from India. He broadcasted his speeches over Azad in radio to Indians. On learning about the success of Japan in the war, Bose joined hands with Ras Bihari Bose to explore the possibility of seeking the help of Japan to liberate India. Ras Bihari Bose founded India Independence League in Tokyo of Japan. He was calling its military wing as Indian National Army. Bose called for Delhi Chalo. On this occasion, he said, "Give me your blood, I will get you freedom." Explain the major achievements of Nehru as the Prime Minister of India. As the Prime Minister of India, he can be seen as the architect of architect of industrialization and modern India. Nehru became instrumental in the integration of India. He was successful in bringing all the princely states of India together. He also laid foundation for the diverse culture of India by implementing language-based reorganization of states policy. He had firmly believed that only complete industrialization can bring development. He sought to develop India through 5-year plans. He sought to develop infrastructure and heavy industries through these 5-year plans. He laid the foundation for atomic energy that under the leadership of H.G. Baba. He advocated non-aligned movement. He was instrumental in staving away from power politics by adhering to Panchashila principles. Explain the various tribal revolts in the history of independence struggle. The tax and forest policies implemented during the British administration were the reasons for tribal revolts. Among them, revolts of Santala, Kola and Munda are important. Halagali Beda's revolt of Karnataka is another notable revolt. The revolt of Santala tribe is considered as an important revolt in India. The people of this tribe are present in the hilly areas of Bengal and Odisha states. With the implementation of permanent zamindari system, these people became landless. The land developed by them was taken over by the zamindars. The zamindars, moneylenders and the company government became the exploiters of the Santala tribe. Their peace-loving nature and civilized manner were exploited by the government. The upset Santalas met secretly and decided to loot the zamindars and the moneylenders. The revolt was severe in Bhagatpur, Bharat and Rajmal areas. As a result, the tribal people killed their enemies. Frightened moneylenders and zamindars fled from these areas. Though the revolt of Santalas came to an end, it became an inspiration for many revolts in future. Similarly, Kola and Munda revolted against the zamindars. Explain the workers' revolt in the history of independence struggle. Workers' struggle started in Calcutta in 1827. The workers of jute and cotton mills, along with railways, started organizing themselves. Railway workers held protest in railway stations and raised slogans against the British officers. The printers' unions in Calcutta and cotton mill workers of Bombay created national awareness. A labor union was founded in Madras. Later, many workers' associations started. The Congress supported such initiatives. From the workers' union, the contribution of workers and their unions are unique. Explain the farmers' protest in the history of independence struggle. During the British administration, many farmers rebelled against the British planters and zamindars. They opposed the indigo cropping in Champaran district. They protested against land tax. Gandhiji's influence was visible in activities in Champaran, Kheda and other places where the farmers organized themselves and protested. Farmers of Tebaga, Malabar and other places revolted against the British and zamindars under the influence of the Congress. The issues the farmers found themselves intermingled with the problems focused on in movement like non-cooperation movement, tax refusal and Quit India movement. Many of the protests were organized under the banner of Kisan Sabha, which was influenced by leftist ideologies. In Telangana, farmers protested against the zamindars and Nizam's razaks. The farmers of Bengal rose against the zamindars. In Maharashtra, farmers protested against low wages for them. Explain the contributions of Dr. B.R.Ambedkar. Dr. B.R.Ambedkar had believed strongly that political freedom without social freedom is meaningless. Unless the last man in the fold hierarchical social system of Indian society gets social and economic freedom, political freedom is of no values was his argument. He studied the caste system and devised strategy to destroy it. He organized Mahad Tank and Kalaram temple movements. He participated in all three roundtable conferences and suggested various means to unshackle the bondages of the downtrodden communities in the Indian society. He was Diwan to Baroda Maharaja. He was a member of Bombay Legislative Council and later was also a member of Viceroy's Legislative Council. He never joined the Indian National Congress and founded Bahishkruta Hitakarini Sabha and later Swatantra Karmika Party. He published periodicals like Prabuddha Bharata, Janata Mukhanayaka and Bahishkruta Bharata. He always stayed away from the communist and sociological ideologies and strived to get justice for farm laborers. A constitution was needed to chalk out the future of independent India. Dr. B.R.Ambedkar was selected as the chairman of drafting committee. He advocated equality in the constitution and provided legal guarantees against untouchability in the constitution. He became the first law minister of independent India. Fed up with the caste system, he left Hinduism and became a Buddhist. How did the nation face refugee problem? Soon after the partition, refugee crisis became a huge problem. Around 6 million refugees arrived in India. But by 1951, most of the refugees from West Pakistan were taken care of. But the crisis of East Pakistan continued for a long time. The Bengal Vimochana movement, which was supported by India, could finally liberate the Bangladesh. The war resulted in arrival of 10 lakh refugees to India. They were helped by the government of India, governments of Tripura, Meghalaya and Assam to resettle them and find new hope of life in India. India did not leave its humanitarian concern and tried to provide better refugee facilities for them. The people of Tibet had arrived in our country as refugees during Nehru time. According to one estimate, there are around 1,20,000 Tibetan refugees in India. Government of Karnataka sanctioned 3,000 acres of land to Tibetan refugees at Bailukuppe. How was Goa liberated from Portuguese? A sustained movement was held to protest against the Portuguese occupation of Goa. Though they were ordered to vacate Goa, Portuguese brought more army from Africa and Europe and tried to consolidate their power over Goa. Satyagrahis from all over India entered Goa and declared the exit of Portuguese from Goa. The Indian military entered Goa and took over its administration. Goa had remained a union territory till 1987 and later became a state. Explain the integration of Hyderabad. Hyderabad, princely state, was ruled by Nizam. He wanted to remain independent and refused to join the independent India. Meanwhile, under the leadership of communists, the farmers of the state revolted against the Nizam and Zamindars. The people, angry with the cruel army called Razakas, which had the patronage of Nizam, the government of India sent its military to fight Hyderabad and defeat the Nizam and integrated Hyderabad into India. Vallabhbhai Patel could find a solution to this with his firm decision. How did Junagad join Indian Federation? The Nawab of this princely state had signed the agreement to join the state of Pakistan. His citizens revolted against him and flooded the streets. The king fled from the kingdom. The Diwan requested Indian government to send military to Junagad to maintain law and order. Later, Junagad joined Indian Federation in 1949.